Hello, Leominsterites. Welcome to the March episode of Representing Leominster. I am your state representative, Natalie Higgins, and we just checked, and this is the 20th episode of Representing Leominster. So thank you to everyone who tunes in every month, and I'm excited to continue the theme of introducing you to our cultural councils, commissions, other ways that you can get involved in the local community. And I'm here with Bonnie from the Leominster Cultural Council, and I'm so thankful that you joined me this morning.
I'm really happy to be here.
And so I would love for you to let the Leominster viewers know a little bit more about what the Cultural Council is doing here in Leominster, kind of what your mission is.
Well, one of the things we have to realize is that the Leominster Cultural Council comes under a statewide, the Massachusetts Cultural Council. It's one of the programs that the Massachusetts Cultural Council does. There are 329 communities that participate in what we call local cultural council grant. And our function is to allocate money that comes from the state every year into a revolving account to grants that meet criteria. They represent the arts, humanities, science. They have public benefit to the community. There is no discrimination. And they have to meet rules for handicap accessibility and so forth. So as a council or a board, we receive grants yearly, and this year we received, I think, 48 grants. And of those 48, we were able to assist with funding 39.
That's fantastic.
It is, and you know, we don't ever, we're not able to fund 100% of what people want. And we also look in our criteria that they're looking for ways to help fund their own programs. So we look, say, if you ask for $300 from the Cultural Council for your grant, we're looking, well, are you going to raise another $300 to match? So, you know, we do have criteria that we have set up.
And so what are some of the projects that you're excited about this year?
Oh, if I name one, I'd have to name them all.
In the past, like what are are there themes? Are there age groups? Are there topics?
It is such a wide variety. We have several grants that deal with music, bringing music talent to the community through concerts, through school programs. One that I thought was personally was a very good program and has shown that it benefit to the community is the Alan Mullock String program, which was started by Bob Landry.
Yeah, my aide, Taylor Landry's dad.
Taylor Landry's dad, and a wonderful program, We do things with older people through the senior center, through the Leominster Recreation Department. We help to support cultural trips for the seniors. Some of the youth programs that are more into drama. This summer, Sally Cragen is doing a workshop which will involve kids from the Boys and Girls Club and from the Leominster Public Library so that they get exposed to theater.
That's
Summer
fantastic.
Scene, Shoalin Farms. I mean, there are so many wonderful projects going on in Leominster.
No, I'm so excited to have you on because folks know I grew up in arts and music in the Leominster Public School System, and I just got to see the Leominster High School Theater Company's production that they moved on to the semifinals, Girl in White Pinafore, and just every year blown away by the talent that we have in our community.
And the MASC, the organization that sponsors that, we help them. So indirectly, we're helping all the children that are participating in the high school drama project. And my children grew up in that project. And my husband, Jack, also have directed some of the plays when they used to have competitions.
Yeah.
So we've been involved in the arts and music for a long time.
So can you tell the viewers a little bit of how you got involved with the Cultural Council? Like, did you seek it out? Did someone invite you to join? How could someone get involved?
I always knew it was around, but Norna Ojala, who most of the people know in the audience, is a longtime friend of mine, and she approached me and she said, "Would you be interested in joining the Cultural Commission, and she said, the fun thing about it is you give money away. And I was like, yeah, I really want to do that. So the first year, and like anybody that joins the council, the first year is a learning process. We just had a really great training from the state. They came out and did a training, and new people that are coming on to our council were able to come, and we invited people from Fitchburg also who were going to be new to their council. But somebody asked me, Nona asked me, and 6 years later I'll be completing my role, and this year I am the chair. And then I have to take a break. I'm mandated by law to take a break, and if I was to go back on, it would have to be after this year.
So you can do 2 3-year cycles.
2 3-year cycles.
And then you have to cycle off for 3 years, and then if you want to go back on, you can apply to.
So the first year, we don't put a lot of heavy responsibility on the new people. Just reading the grants. Every person on the council has the opportunity to read each grant. The state has set it up in a portal system so that they can log on from their own home and they can read, and we have a scoring system.
Great.
So that we have objective measures to rate the grants, and we're looking for specific things. And each year it may change because we look for input from the community, which we will be starting this month.
Okay.
What does the community see? We should be looking, should we be using more money for youth or for seniors, or should we be looking at, what is the community looking at? And we have a very diverse community. So we want to make sure that we're reaching all those audiences.
And so how do we as community members make our voice heard in that process?
Well, what we've done in the past is we've actually gone to some of the events and done one-on-one FaceTime with people with a questionnaire. We have a survey that we have, survey?
Like a Survey Monkey?
Yeah, Survey Monkey, which we put on our website on the city government, also on our we have a Facebook page. We have a reception coming up in April, and we will have surveys there that people can fill out. They can email us at our email address. They could call me directly.
Yeah, so we'll make sure that we have all the information, and I see on the screen right now, there's the flyer for the event happening on April 6th. I hope you can join us. I'm going to be there. I've got it in my calendar.
Yes, and I'm going to send you an agenda real soon so you know kind of what to expect. It's the first time that I'm aware that it's ever actually happened, and so we're really excited. Because not only are we going to honor the people that are receiving grants, but we also see this as a way for the public to become aware of what is happening. So we've asked the different grants to bring like a display or pictures of what they've done. And Bob Landry has volunteered to bring a trio.
Of his string program?
Of his string program, so they'll be playing during the event, which is really exciting. It's open to the public. We'll have cookies.
Great. So snacks,
so
music,
if you're in the library
arts.
that day, just walk in, look around, see the displays, and honor guests like yourself and Dean Tran and Mayor Mazzarella will be there. And I think it's a good opportunity for you to see what is happening in the community.
Absolutely. We're heading into budget season, so I'm going to be hearing from the Mass Cultural Commission quite a bit.
You will.
Really making sure that we're funding this enough. And it's great for me and for the rest of the community to see just how this is really impacting the local arts programs.
Well, one of the things that I found out is the dollar amount that has actually come into the Leominster Cultural Council from fiscal year 2015 is $115,800.
And in this past year, that money funded 39 projects.
Since 2015.
Yeah. Okay.
We've had that. I would say our average allocation is somewhere in the 20,000s.
Okay.
Okay. But there's opportunities for more monies.
Yeah.
We can do our own self-funding, which we have never done. But there are things that the council can look at to increase that amount.
And so if someone wanted to get involved with the Cultural Council, how many members do you have? Are you seeking new members now? I know you said you were getting ready to cycle off. How often do you have membership turnover?
We are usually looking for members every year because we try to make sure that not everybody's going off the council at one time,
Sure.
so we're bringing new people in. The guidelines say anywhere from 5 to 22.
Oh, so you have
So
some
we
real
have
room.
flexibility, and I think maybe some of the larger communities may have larger numbers. We average probably anywhere from 6 to 8
Okay.
members, which seems to work well with the things that we have to do to meet the obligations of the Mass Cultural Council.
And what kind of time commitment? Like, what are folks signing up for?
Well, there's board meetings, and we usually have board meetings August through April, and you usually take the summer off. Board meetings are usually 1 hour. We're held at the Leominster Public Library. The biggest time commitment is, unfortunately, right around Thanksgiving and October, because that's when we're reading all the grants.
Sure.
The deadline for the grants, which are online, and people can go in to the masscultural.org site and they can actually put their grant online. We have to sit and read each grant. And that does take time. You know, you can't say, okay, yeah, we're voting on the grants next Tuesday. Saturday morning, I'm going to start reading. And no.
Yeah.
You gotta. I would say reading the grants is probably maybe 5 or 6 hours.
Okay.
So then additional time spent. And then if you're involved in some of the other roles like president, which I am the chair this year, Nancy King is our secretary. It was her first year. It's a lot of work. Treasurer is Elizabeth Raymond.
Okay.
And these are three things that say, yeah, you do more because you have more responsibility.
And you have 6 years to kind of work up to those
Yes,
roles.
I served as secretary for 4 of those years.
Okay.
So that really helped me when I was then nominated for the chairperson.
Sure. Is there anything else you want to share as we're wrapping up kind of our 15 minutes?
Well, I think what I want to impress upon people is that there's something called the power of culture. And that's an underlying message we're saying in our flyer. And I often say, and I'll say to you, what does the power of culture mean to you, Natalie?
I mean, I think growing up in the city of Leominster, where it's a gateway city and we have so many cultures and so many unique identities, I think that that's something that makes our community extremely powerful. And how that plays out in art is something that I'm really excited to see grow.
And the thing that I always think about it's a way of bringing people together. Whether it's the Johnny Appleseed Festival, whether it's the open market, farmers market on Saturday. These are things we're all touching.
Right.
And it brings diverse groups together that we can learn from each other and grow.
Absolutely.
So I would encourage people to think about what does the power of culture mean and support the council activities by attending.
And so we're going to have the contact information. We're going to link the Facebook page for the Leominster Cultural Council so that you can get involved. You can see what's coming up. And I just want to thank Bonnie for coming on our show this month. And we're going to take a break and come back with Angela from the Conservation Commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the 20th episode of Representing Leominster. I'm your state representative, Natalie Higgins, and I'm thrilled to be joined with Angela from the Conservation Commission now. So we're changing gears a little bit, and now we're going to talk about conservation efforts in Leominster. And Angela, could you first thank you for coming on the show?
Of course, I'm really glad to be here.
And could you tell me a little bit about the mission of the Conservation Commission and what you are all hoping to do in Leominster?
Absolutely. So the Conservation Commission in Leominster, our job is to implement the Wetland Protection Act and the Rivers Protection Act, as well as uphold the city's stormwater ordinance in regards to development, construction, environmental issues. For example, if someone doesn't realize that their leaf pile, their compost pile is falling into a stream and how that affects the ecological balance of Leominster. So it's our job to assist the community, work with developers and builders, and protect the resource areas.
That's awesome. And so how many members, is there like a constant number of members on the commission, or can it fluctuate?
Currently, it's fluctuating. Ideally, we have a 7-member board. We currently have 5, with hopefully we're getting 2 new members in the next couple weeks. So
great. So they're going before the city council to be
Yeah.
approved. For folks who don't realize, a lot of the councils and the commissions get appointed, nominated by the mayor and then approved by the city council. So if you're interested, you should absolutely reach out to Mayor Mazzarella about what positions are open. And we're trying to compile a list so that folks can know the different ways that they can plug in.
Yeah, and there's always room on the conservation, for volunteers if anyone wants to just come to meetings and be, an associate member, and in case someone's sick or someone's absent, it's always helpful to have extra hands.
That's fantastic. And then you understand what you're doing, and you're ready to be on deck as an opening comes up, right?
Exactly.
If you do want to join.
And that's more of an ideal position for like college students, or anyone who's interested really. But for college students, it's something they can put in their resume. I volunteered for the Conservation Commission. I did this and this. These were my jobs, and it can really help people get a foot in the door. So
yeah. So, how did you get involved with the Conservation Commission? What drew you?
So I'm really passionate about the environment. I'm really, really passionate about conservation. I have a degree in environmental science with a concentration in natural resources. And I was looking for a job for quite a while, and I stumbled upon the city was hiring. My predecessor, Marco, had gone to the health department, so I applied. I live in Leominster. I'm very passionate about the community. So I applied, and part of my job as the agent is to represent and assist the commission in their acts, because they're all volunteers and they all work full-time jobs. So unfortunately, they can't be going to 10 site visits a week and working with engineers and contractors.
So that's so fantastic, because I have a lot of friends who studied different kind of environmental degrees, and sometimes it's really hard to find work in that field.
Typically you need like a master's degree, but I've loved working in Leominster. It's been amazing and I plan on staying for the next 60 years.
Right here with you. Yeah. And what are some of the big issues that you deal with on a day-to-day basis?
Some of the larger issues we have is mainly just people don't know, unfortunately, that that's a wetland, or what a wetland is, because wetlands aren't always wet.
For sure.
It's based on hydric soils, which are wet soils that have different characteristics than, say, for example, garden soils and vegetation. So someone might not realize that what they're doing is damaging the environment or damaging a vernal pool. So a lot of time I just encourage people to stop by the office. We can talk. If anyone has any concerns, I'm always there. Yeah. So
Taylor and I got to one of our favorite highlights from the last year is getting to check out some of the vernal pools, which I had done with Mr. Lanza when I was a kiddo. So it was great to do it now as an adult and have more of a concept of like, what am I looking at and what's going on here? And just how important Leominster advocates have been in making sure that these pools are protected and maintained, and that those ecosystems are kept whole.
Yeah, they're super important. As a lot of people remember going to them as kids. I grew up in a couple towns over, but we always took a vernal pool hike every summer or spring. And it's really important to save that for all of our generations. A lot of people won't have that access in their cities, and Leominster is extremely lucky to have the city environment, but also we have such a great expansion of conservation land, open space. So
yeah, I was going to ask, is that a unique? We're a gateway city, and I'm sure you have a lot of contemporaries in other gateway cities. Is your role unique because of the makeup of our community, where it is a city, but there's a lot of space?
Yeah, a lot of people are kind of shocked at what the Conservation Commission deals with. We deal with riverfront, we deal with open space, we deal with conservation, we deal with trails, we deal with huge developments and subdivisions. So compared to maybe another town where it's, they maybe get 2 applications a summer, we probably get 30. And that doesn't include people who just stop by to ask questions.
For sure. And so if folks are looking for you and want to get in touch with you, what's the best way? Is it to drop into your office? Is it to call you? Or to show up to one of your public meetings?
You can always show up to the public meetings. Our agendas are posted online and they're posted at City Hall. But the best way to get in contact with me is either stopping by the office. I'm more in the office in the winter. I try to be there as much as I can, but in the summer I spend a lot of time out in the field, so email is usually the best way.
Okay, great. And we'll make sure that all of your contact information is up, and that we'll share it on our social media as well, so that folks can get connected. Is there anything, as we're transitioning hopefully quickly out of the winter into the spring, is there anything that you want us as Leominster residents to be aware of, thinking of, as we're heading into the spring season?
I would just be aware of, a little MS4 for me here, just be aware of your catch basins where they are. DPW is great at clearing them, but the catch basins do lead to our water resource areas. So if people are putting, dog fecal matter in there, it does get into our water supply and it does affect us. If you see a catch basin that's, because in the spring everything's washing out, everything's filling up. If you see a catch basin that's covered up, help us out. We try to do our best, but there are hundreds of catch basins in the city, and DPW does an amazing job of clearing them, but I'm sure there's some we miss, and that also contributes to flooding, so we like to make sure they're clear.
Yeah, and I think just the education is such an important thing. We've been learning a lot about kind of the zero waste movement and recycling and how our recycling has evolved, and Taylor and I finding out we're not very good recyclers. Like, we need to do a lot more learning about like what you can recycle, what you can't, that like there are places that you can drop off all the filmy plastics that I've been throwing away that I'm like, wait, I can recycle those, I can save them, and trying to figure out, I really want to figure out how we can share that, especially as more and more, every time I have a visit of young people from our community, the number one issue is the environment, how to stop littering, how to make sure that we're protecting our environment so that we get to enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's something I'm very personally passionate about. I went zero waste for 3 months. It was very hard. I would love to see that for Leominster, but it's also a huge transition. It can affect a lot of people differently. But we most definitely promote, we try not to have any plastic, any paper at our meetings. We do Google Doc folders, so we're not printing off 75 papers every 2 weeks, basically, because we meet twice a month.
Right. So. Awesome. And so if anyone wants to get involved, they can reach out, become, is it an associate member or an auxiliary member?
And also I've started working at the high school to have students shadowing in the office who are interested in the field. So if you know anyone that's interested in environmental science, that's a high schooler, most definitely reach out. I can connect with your guidance department, and we can work something out where you can come shadow for a couple days.
That's awesome. And I'm working on an event with Environment Massachusetts to do like a Millennials for the Environment event next month.
Cool.
So we should definitely, after this, connect. I would love to loop you into that, because there have been some really, really awesome things happening.
I would love to be there.
All across North Central Mass, and I'm really proud, particularly of the high school and college students who are stepping up and organizing March for Climate, March for all of these different
It's really
activities.
Amazing how much our youth really care about the environment. Because I don't know about you, when I was in high school, I wasn't really, unfortunately, too concerned about it.
Right.
It's really exciting to see.
Absolutely, and just the amount of education that we can do about just making even just smarter choices, like small tweaks that have really, really significant impacts on the rest of everything around us.
Yeah. Swap out your plastic straws.
Yeah. And something we're trying to highlight also is we have a lot of really innovative new manufacturers and not so new manufacturers who are looking at ways. A quarter of our jobs here in Massachusetts, in Leominster, are manufacturing. How do we do it in a way that is more environmentally friendly and innovative? And I'm really impressed by how folks are stepping up.
Yeah, they really care. I know one I know of personally is EarthPack.
Yeah, we just toured them. Yeah.
They're a really cool facility, and they really care about the environment. I know Leominster is all manufacturing, the plastic city, so it's really cool to see that they care too, and not that we're taking the plastic out of Leominster, but that they.
And how do we rethink of plastic too? Because something that EarthPack reminded me is even compostable, biodegradable, plant-based plastics are still plastic.
Yeah.
But they can compost. They can totally be reintegrated into our system in a way that isn't harmful.
Yeah.
So,
it's a step.
Yeah. So Angela, I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on, talking a little bit about what you're working on at the Conservation Commission. We're going to share her information. So if you want to get involved, with Bonnie and the Leominster Cultural Council, please reach out. I know that they are always doing important work and could use more volunteers. So I want to thank you all for tuning in to the March episode, our 20th episode of Representing Leominster, and looking forward to seeing you next month. Thanks so much.